welcome back to TT News Tuesdays. It is definitely very hot, so hot in fact that my hands are so clammy I can't use the laptop properly. Yeah, it's been a scorcher, so if you're sat there enjoying a nice cold bevy, I am joining you. So, proper service has resumed this week, full production set up, even a decent microphone, because I noticed that the microphone that I was using on the camera wasn't the best. Now, let's have a look at the comments on last week's short video, because you guys have, you guys that have watched and have commented have given me things to talk about, so we'll start there, shall we? I'd like a discussion on two things. Is there any detriment from doing the N249s Elite? I've seen it done, but what's the story long term? Similar to the above with the CAS can, worth it longer term? So, I replied, I've already got a detailed video about the N249. I've seen the video, but would like to know the longer term consequences, good and bad, for both the mods. Well, the N249, quite simply put, if you delete it, long term, if you don't keep up with maintenance on the vacuum lines, then its secondary function of being able to stop the engine blowing up will not be available to you because you've deleted it. So long term, just the same as short term, it's only a good idea if you're going to stay on top of things. And even then, it's not really a good idea, but a lot of people do it to simplify things. So it just depends how you're going to maintain the car. With regards to the catch can, it's definitely a good idea long term. I can't see a reason not to do it as long as you're doing it properly, as long as you're keeping the PCV, the hockey puck in place and you're doing it a sensible way. Essentially what you're doing is preventing all that oily air going into the system. It is good for the engine to be running cleaner. So yeah, I don't... Long term, yes. Anything that's worth it short term inherently should be worth it long term. I'd like to know if you have an experience with getting sports cats through the MOT. Currently I'm having trouble with my 225 with a 200 cell cat. A 200 cell cat, usually you need to be driving to the test station like you stole the car and then get it straight in the ramp and straight to being tested. Another thing that's worth noting that I struggled with on my last MOT with a non-genuine cat on there, but it is just an OEM spec cat, is that if the car's not up to temperature, which my thermostat was sticking open, then it does struggle to get through MOT as well. So just check that everything else is running properly. Check that your car is actually healthy, because sometimes the lambda readings are too high because there's genuinely a problem. If you're over fueling, the cat can't deal with that. That might be part of the problem. So just check that the car is running healthy first, and then get it nice and hot. Cannot believe my TT clutch. The pedal isn't broken, but it hits the floor. No more air bubbles coming out and still hits the floor. Can the master collapse internally? Yes, they can. And it does sound like that's what's going on. You're saying you can't bleed the clutch. I'm guessing that you've done the clutch and you've done the slave cylinder, which is why you're at this position. And if you're struggling, then yes, the masters can go. Also worth just checking the damper that sits on the firewall. Make sure that that's okay. I'm not sure if you discussed this before or not, Bryn, but what is it that started you on your Mark 1 TT journey? Well, it was a Mark 4 Golf GTI that started me on the TT journey, because everything I was reading about modifying that said, just stick on the parts from a Mark 1 Audi TT. So I started thinking, why spend all those money on parts from a TT? Why not just get a TT? So that's what I did, and I've not looked back since. There has not been a single period of the last 11, 12 years that I've not owned a Mark 1 TT. So there you go. New subscriber, boyfriend bought me a 2018 TT for our anniversary. It's 2017. Wowzer. That's going to be a nice car. Hopefully we'll see that at some of the meets. Richard Stevenson makes a good point. Maybe it should be done every 2 weeks. Well, we'll see how this week does. Would be easier for me because my wife now works evenings, so I have to wait for my daughter to be asleep before I can start doing this process of filming and then editing and then trying to get the video out for you. So if it was every other week, maybe I could film throughout the fortnight and then piece it together on the Tuesday. Who knows? But for now, it is weekly. Let's have a look on the TT Mark 1 Facebook page. I pulled up this post because this is an interesting one. 3-inch downpipe and decat not fitting properly. What you will find is there are certain manufacturers, and I can't tell you them off the top of my head, it's been a while. There are certain ones that will advertise them as for the Roadster and not for the Roadster. Some people don't make any differentiation whatsoever. But yeah, the little bracket, the little extra support in that area there, that is the issue. You can, with an angle grinder, chop it away, and you can obviously dent the downpipe a little bit to help give it clearance. It's a little bit of an extreme solution, but it does work. Anyone selling a Mark 1 TT 225 will travel for the right one. A swap for an E9325. Gets me thinking though, what is the current market value of a good Audi TT Mark 1? And the answer is it's too low, in my opinion. When you look at it versus the equivalent S3s of the same year, the S3, yes, it's a bit rarer, and yes, it's a bit more practical, but it's a lot more expensive, even for really high mileage ones. So I think the TT is really undervalued at the minute, but that got me thinking. Let's go onto the marketplace and see what TTs are listed. Now, Facebook Marketplace is stupid because, as you can see here, I have clearly written Audi TT 225 listings within the last 7 days, and the second car that it shows me is a Mark II. Possible for it to be a 225. But let's have a look, shall we? So, let's start with this one. 85,000 kilometres, 2004 Audi TT, and from the picture, looks like a V6. Let's have a look. Obviously, Mr. Charger did a video a little while ago saying that the 3.2s were going to go up in value. Since then, I've seen a lot listed for higher values. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If someone says the prices are going to go up, everyone puts the prices up. Are they selling? I don't know. But just interesting to observe. So let's have a look. Is this going to show me an information? Full description, here we go. Yeah, 3.2 DSG, Mauritius, 85,000 miles. Good service history. Had a new Mechtronic at 62,000 miles, so that takes away a bit of the stress of that. And he mentioned of the chains, well within tolerance. If you put the actual readings in the listing, then serious buyers would appreciate that. £4,400 for an 85,000 mile Mauritius Blue. I think that'll fetch mid-threes, I guess, at the moment, just with the way the market is. But I think it's worth more than that. But there you go. Let's have a look. What's this? This is a... Well, Facebook thinks that it's a cheap car. 93,000 miles. I can't tell... Doesn't look like a 225, but the way they've blurred stuff out makes it hard to tell. That looks a totally different colour in those two pictures, doesn't it? That's crazy. Is it Avis? Maybe. All the pictures make it look different colours. Convertible. Looks in fairly alright condition, but I have a feeling that's just going to be a 180. And so the value that they've put on there at £1,800, yeah, I mean, it's 2005, so yeah, it's hopefully a 180, maybe, it's unlikely to be a 150. Hard to say. Changing circumstances forces sale, drives really well, everything works as it should. That's a rubbish description, and I doubt it's going to sell at £1,800 with that rubbish description. Cheap convertible here, a 2027 Audi TT. That's got to be a typo. 150,000 miles for £1,000. What is it? Looks like a 225. Yeah. Very clean car, runs well, no problems. Convertible works, good tires, no knocking, runs well. I mean, that seems like a cheap car to me. Looks tidy. Scroll through the pictures. That's a lot of car for the money. What was the mileage? 150,000 miles. That's not that scary. I wonder how clean the last MOT is. MOT check. Let's have a look, shall we? DG52AXV. DG52AXV. What do we think? Show the history. Corrosion. That's not bad. Tyres, discs, corrosion. It's not bad. It's not done much over the last year. Well, over the last year, it's done 300 miles. Just looks like it hasn't been used much. Well, I would say if you're looking at buying a convertible, I don't know, this isn't me offering any sort of real purchasing advice, but from the pictures, it looks tidy enough, and for £1,000 you can't really go wrong there, can you? So yeah, there you go. If you want a cheap TT, there is some out there on the marketplace, but let's just have a quick generalised look. 177,000 miles, £1,600. £500 white Mark II. What's the crack with that? I can't say no to a £500 car. Oh, there you go. Okay, it's accident damage. Spares. Oh, okay, they're breaking it. Just put that in the title then. Doesn't seem to be any 225s listed. Or Facebook just isn't very good at differentiating. Oh, we've got another convertible for £1,000. What's the spec on this one? Because in the weather like this, people will be looking for convertibles. You can see rust on the sill there. 04 looks like there's going to be a 180 or a 150. It's been parked up for a while. Short MOT. Stage 1 map, so it's going to be as quick as a 225 anyway. We'll need some very light TLC. I do think that £1,000 is an alright price for that, but I think you could probably knock him down a little bit more. Worth a go, innit? Anyway, that's the state of the current marketplace. Overall, my opinion is that TTs are cheap. For what you get for, value for money wise, it's ridiculous. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about buying a TT, do it. Now's the perfect time to buy them because they're so cheap. If you don't like it, you can just move it on and, not get stung by it. Right, let's have a look at another TT Facebook page, shall we? Ah, yes, another sales page. So what do we think? Had everything done to make it a good runner. Looking at £3,000, not sure what it's worth in the current market. Any advice on price? Appreciated. Well, from that picture, that vague description, couldn't possibly give you any advice. That's I don't know. These are an interesting one. These wheels for the TT have, I'm gonna guess he's put a price on there of about £600 because they look freshly refurbed. But these are an interesting one. I've seen them exchange hands for £200. I've seen them exchange hands for £1,000 plus over the years. It really is. Yeah, what's it saying? One wheel has a small weld. 3 in perfect condition. 3 of them are centre caps. Unfortunately lost one. The centre caps are worth a fortune. What's he put them up for? $450, open to reasonable offers. I don't think that's a bad price because they look in good nick and they are expensive to get refurbished. I nearly picked up the microphone instead of my drink then because I'm not paying attention. Anyway, right. I did hint last week that I broke my car after fixing it. Let me just check that I've got the footage of that very quickly. Well, Bryn, you might notice that I am driving the Roadster because it now has an MOT. However, you fix one thing like the rear screen that wasn't coming up straight, and you break another. Fitting the wiper blades back on and the arms slung back without the blade on has put a nice big crack in the screen, which, considering that this car was supposed to be getting ready to be sold quick time, has just put me back time and a lot of money. So yeah, back to you in the studio. So A, B and C windscreens will be fixing that for me at some point this week. They're a company from Hinckley in Leicestershire. They're going to come to me in Northampton because they sometimes do a little bit of work over this way. So I've liaised it with them for them to do that. I've been using them for years for automotive glass. They're really well priced and they do a good job. And I trust them. That's the main thing, isn't it? Trusting them, especially with a low mileage, good example car. So hopefully it'll be ready in time for this weekend for me to take it down to Springfest, where Andy Charger invites, I can't remember how many cars it is, over 20, maybe 30 or whatever, TTs all into his back garden. So obviously he'll have a proper video on that, but I'll try and get you some behind the scenes bits on that for next week's TT News Tuesday. So obviously I'll have some interesting footage next week of that, but in the meantime, please don't be shy to send me either messages linking to stuff or whatever, just things that you want me to be talking about on next week's TT News Tuesday. And until then, I'll see you later. Cheers, guys.